My favorite book about lunar research, even though this is strictly not about lunar research, is Goodnight Moon by Margaret Wise Brown. And I think it really gets young children who read this book curious and asking the basic questions you need to ask about the moon. Like, how was it formed, for instance? Is there life on it, for instance? And even though when they grow up and they get the tools to actually figure out about these questions and invent and discover, they need to be young and curious about the moon to grow older and actually discover.
My favorite book about lunar research is I, Robot by Isaac Asimov. Now, although most of the stories don't take place on the moon, I think it's certainly applicable to lunar research because the stories discuss a lot of the ramifications of lunar research, such as the implications of a hyperspace drive, both politically and scientifically. And it does this in a very logical manner that encourages a very rational sort of scientific thinking, which is crucial if we're to explore the moon. And this is good. This is good for a book, not a movie, because in a movie you can't get the kind of lucid explanation that Isaac Asimov is able to deliver in his books. You don't get all that witty dialogue. You don't get the intense scientific nature of the book in the movie of the same name.
My favorite book about lunar research is The Moon is a Harsh Mistress by Robert Heinlein. Now, Heinlein calls himself a philosopher-scientist, and I think that's very appropriate for this book because it shows more of the social and political ramifications of lunar research as opposed to the strictly scientific aspect. And since I'm not a scientist by education or trade, I'm a humanities student, and so I find this very interesting because it shows how lunar research can really affect our lives. This book is a socio-political drama about the lunar colony breaking free from Earth. And when I first read it, I was intrigued by the fact that really the moon is our last frontier, not only to discover new things and create new technology, but also to create an isolated environment within which we can rectify some of the mistakes that we've made on Earth with our own social system. And I never really realized the meaning of the moon is our last frontier until I considered it from that angle. That's why I think this book can really get a lot of people who might not be interested in lunar research interested. Because reading about it and discovering the stories and the social aspect is an exercise that a lot of people, not just scientists, but human beings should take an interest in.